Hello, storyteller, storytelling Ron. I want to talk about for the Lord RPG, die rank, die rank results. Still coming off of a flu cold thing. Okay, so we Christians, we got to get into the culture. We got to get into the RPG culture, and I tried to make a game that was like rules light, but then I just got more and more into it. And I've been GMing for 45 years, and look, I was a kid when this came out. This wonderful Christian looking game. Whatever. I definitely preach against D&D now, but I still I still love D&D. And I don't think it's satanic. Whatever. But anyway, so look at the rules. I mean, this is me as a kid. What kid reads this? I mean, and the whole thing is like that. I was a kid. I was 10. I was in elementary when I first started playing. And then like a year or two later, I think I was still in elementary when, look at that. I loved this as a kid. And that's just one book. And this is the player's handbook. And look at that. I obsessed over this because I wanted to tell stories. Now, obviously today they got video games and all that, but whatever. Role-playing, tabletop role-playing and being around with people and interacting with people. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll just use AI, whatever. But interacting with people is just such I don't know. It's just in part of my DNA, like storytelling and interacting. And so I'm not going to like lighten up on the rules, I mean, I do want them to be lighter, but and to be able to be grasped. But at the same time, I don't mind delving into like hard, more stuff for you to play and use. So anyway, let's just get to. I didn't even set this up right. Okay. So the die rank result is a thing that I really love in the mechanics of this game. And what it is it's based on how high you roll, can offer you bonuses to the next thing you're doing or whatever you're doing. Now, I've already explained it concerning die ranks to dice pool. If I roll a 20 success and all I needed was a 12, so the difference is 8. I went over 8 over the 12 I needed to do something. I half that to 4, and that's 4 die ranks, and I get 4 die ranks extra bonus to do something, to use for something. Now, what does that mean? And the reason I half it is because if you think about die ranks, it's D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, so it goes up 2 every time. So that's why I kind of figured out that the equivalent was having the total. So I was above by 8. Half that is 4. So that's 4 die ranks that I will succeed something by. Okay. What do you do with that? Okay. So obviously in the regular game, there's things to do with it, but I want to go into crafting, engineering, and upgrading. And that's where it gets really complicated. Oh, let me get a book to show you something. I know I'm doing this on the fly. So yeah. So let me go to the full screen. And this helped kind of influence me a bit. But, and I was playing this, what's it called? The Star Wars, what's the company again? They call it Flight FFG, Fantasy Flight Games. Anyway, Star Wars FFG. And, they use the dice pool. And I'm like, I want to upgrade, but I want to keep it simple. But even in this game, which is kind of simple, the upgrades for stuff is very, convoluted and full of charts and specific lists, and you gotta, gadget crafting, cybernetic crafting. You gotta like have all these little lists here to figure out what you want to do, and you still, even after reading through it, you still have to kind of do guesswork. You still have to kind of, I guess it's this or that. That's constant in a game. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it. But there's just a ton of, like, this whole book is just based off of, like, what do you want to engineer? What do you want to craft? And what do you have available? Blah, blah, blah. So it's not like what I'm doing is over the top or anything, It's really part of just the genre, the style of role-playing. Okay, so crafting something. What is it all about? Obviously, the items in the game have die ranks. They have die ranks. So you can have a laser gun or that you have, and you want to increase it to a 1 die rank, okay, which is it adds a D4 to, let's say, to hit, or it could add it to the damage, depending on. And I have those are 2 different factors. So let's just say you have a laser gun that you want to increase to hit on it with a 1 die rank. So that's a D4, or starts off as a D4, as you can see here in this little chart here, D4, D68, and so the D4 is I add the 4 to the 12. 12 is your generic success on anything. So it's a 16 now. You need a 16 to upgrade your laser weapon to get a die 4. And so that's relatively accessible, 16. Now, I would say, if you don't have any skills in energy weapon upgrade, that's the skill you need. If you don't, I will give you a minus die rank to the success. So you could fail at it, and you have to use stuff. You have to use, let's say, so if it's a D4, so I would say 4 items, and you're increasing. I would say that you're just really trying to get like a better scope on it, right? You're trying, so probably low tech. So I would say, it's an energy weapon, so I'm going to say 3 low tech and 1 high tech. That's the supplies you need to do this. Why, it seems like a lot, 3 low tech and 1 high tech for an energy weapon, but it's the tools, it's the little bits here, little things there, little adjustments, and just the tools you need to use up to do it, whatever. And it takes 4 hours. Because the 1 die rank is a D4, so I use the 4 as the sort of the factor. 4 items, 4 hours, whatever. So you need to beat a 16. And that's it. And you got to beat that 16 to do it. Now, die rank result. What if you roll like 20 as your success? Do you get those die rank results? Okay. So let's say you rolled a 20. Okay, good. You succeed. You use the 4 items up. Your weapon is now plus 1 die rank. But you have, and the number was 16. So I rolled a 20 total. So I have 4 left over. That's 2 die ranks. I have 4 left over, right? I'm not making this complicated, but it's not that complicated. You rolled a 20. You only need a 16. You have 4 success. That's your die rank result. Half that is 2, so 2 die ranks. You got 2 die ranks you can do something with. Now, what would I do with the 2 die ranks? You can't do anything permanent, right, as a bonus, because that's ridiculous. That would be too overpowered. I can't say, those 2 die ranks get added to that. No, to the the 1. No, it's something temporary. So what I could say to them is, well, do you want to go to a 2nd die rank? Because then you could get those 2 die ranks to add as a bonus to do the next rank up. So from a 16, and you wanted to add another die rank, right? So the 1 die rank of an energy weapon to hit is a D4, then 2 die ranks is a D6. So 6 plus 12 is an 18. You need an 18 to do the next upgrade to your energy weapon, aiming. But you get those 2 die ranks bonus from your first work to do the 2nd upgrade. And then you still need the parts, though. You need 6 parts now. You got to spend 6 parts. And I would say, okay, well, like 4 low tech, 2 high tech. Now I'm going to say 3 low tech, 2 high tech, and 1 ration. Why would I say ration? Because you're hungry. I would kind of mess with it like that. So the supplies is kind of arbitrary and narrative, but you want to use some. You definitely want them to spend something on it. And at some point, I think past D2 or the 2 die ranks, if you go to 3 die ranks, I would start using some tech spice. Like it's really, you got to use a little bit of super superior energy with wiring, which is really expensive, and that's made with tech spice. Because you got to make all these little components and parts to add to the thing. And that uses up a lot of stuff. So in order to do that, to get so the 16 was for the first die rank, and then 18 is for the 2nd die rank to add to the weapon to hit. And so that you need to roll an 18. Now he gets the 2 die ranks from the previous. That's the die rank result, plus whatever else they got to use, to increase that. I know I'm being very confusing, but what the heck? That's how that works. It's actually, I just explained it all right there. That's what this all says. This is a simpler version of that. Actually, it's kind of the same. This one, I try to make simple rules. All I basically said is you just choose whatever number you want is their difficulty for them. And this one is, well, use the die rank. Use the maximum number of the die rank. I don't even know why I did both of these. I might want to just take this out because this is simple enough. Actually, this is the finished Christmas in Space rules for Kickstarter rules. But I just in talking on this video, maybe I should just take this out and keep it the rules, and then I can explain that, even give more examples. I guess I could try to. Let me just write a note there. Take out simple rules. It's not that necessary. Take out simple rules. Not necessary. I think I'm going to do that. Okay, we'll see. I'm going to get off and look at it, re-examine it. Okay, that's it. That's what die rank results are. Now, die rank results you can use in research. Same thing. You know the GM determines the difficulty of the research, and that right there is kind of arbitrary because it's research. It could be encrypted. It could be just different language. It could be a totally different system of science and stuff. So the person who has the sciencey intellect would just the number, the difficulty number would be determined by the GM, and the sciencey person just would have to roll that, and they would get whatever bonuses they have, whatever correlates to decrypting this code or researching this creature or whatever it is, can correlate to trying to succeed at that number. Now, this too will have a die rank result, and this one's very important because the die ranks that you succeed by will give you those bonuses to determine things you want to do with that research. Okay, so that's what that's all about. Another thing, though, is I just added in is that if you succeed and it's a 24, you're not going to get many die ranks because you need to get a 26, a 28. 24 will give you a default 1 die rank. I say at least 1 die rank if you succeed at it. And the first thing you could do is roll the die rank, whatever the die rank is you succeed by, to lower that number, and then do the research again. As you lower that number down, you're researching and understanding this thing more and more. And each day would cost, I would have to cost them something, right? For role playing, I would cost them the ration. A couple of rations, for food, whatever. I would probably roll a cost thing as they're sitting around doing this and spending time in the ship or wherever they're at. I could do an encounter roll, whatever. But it's like each day of this is a day they pass by that costs them something. It's going to be descriptive, narrative, arbitrary, not arbitrary, but in a sense arbitrary. I just have to decide something based on the setting. Each day that they spend time researching, and the die rank result, the lower the number they can get, the higher the die rank result they can get. But in using the die ranks, they could then use it to let's say they roll a 30. Let's say they got it down to 20 and they rolled a 30 and they got 10 above the result, and half that, 5 die ranks. They want to use that now to make something out of it. So they're researching a creature's venom. And they say we want to remake that venom. So they can use the 5 die ranks to create the type of venom they want. How 5 die ranks is not that much, but they could spend it on the duress, which is how strong it is, to resist. The deliverance, how much damage it'll do, or whatever, paralysis or whatever it does. The affliction of it. Deluge is are you going to spread it amongst like a cloud, or is it just on one person, captive thing? And duration if needed, especially for like paralysis. So these things they can create the using the 5 die ranks, which is not enough. Obviously they can instead use it to lower the number again, and then the next day research it and try to get more die ranks out of it, and then create something out of it. But that means they've designed it with those. Let's say they get 10 die ranks now. They got that number down to 10. And all they need is a 20, and they roll a 20, so they get, they roll the 30 again. So they're 20 above. They get 10 die ranks. Let's say. So they're gonna make this really powerful venom or whatever, whatever it is. They still have to make the venom. The die ranks is just in designing it. Like, we designed this, and this with those 10 die ranks. Okay, you design it now. Now you got to make that. And I would make that number then another thing that they got to create. So yeah, I'm really getting into the weeds with this. But I'm saying to you is that's the fun of this. You can do that. You can get into the weeds of making stuff, especially in Christians in Space. But you can use it to make medicines. They can use it in like the apostles of the epoch, when they find stuff and start designing medicines or repellents or anything like that that they can use. These rules kind of cover all that. So, and as a GM, you got to kind of fill in the gaps, because I'm not going to cover every freaking thing, But that's what this research here does, and you can craft things with it. The result, this is like little failures. If you roll, if you want for them to fail, if they fail at it, they could destroy the item or destroy the research material. You as a GM have to decide if they destroy all of it or just it cost them a few days and they need to take a break and do it again next time. But this is just my I just want to do a little bit on here on this aspect of it, which is the very into the weeds part of the game that you and the players would only want to do if you're really an RPG nerd. The goal of this game, though, in truth, is evangelism and church planning. But at the same time, we want to have fun, continue to play it. And there is a certain part of the RPGs and games where it's addictive. And this is part of that addictiveness, is to create a little world where you can kind of do different things and upgrades. Upgrades of your character is always an addictive part of a game, role-playing game. So that you can continue on the adventure of evangelizing and planting churches. And to me, this game is important. It's important because it does change one's psyche to be an evangelist as a Christian, and not just dumb us down to just play a game. Like, I really want to research, or am researching, church history and how we actually interact. Every game too, when they start evangelizing, and when I play the pagans, I start like, oh yeah, this is the way you would have to do stuff. Like, how would you do stuff? How would you, like the last game I had, they had we did a big tent revival thing, the first big tent revival type. I mean, it wasn't a revival. It was an initial big tent church thing at the planet that they landed on and finally converted the people there. But and I was thinking about that too. Like, a lot of people don't need. This is something like kind of for me that I don't understand, but now I do. And I understand now through the game, because I sort of role played and experienced it and thought about it. That for me, Christianity is about explanation, apologetics. It's about explaining it correctly. But for a lot of people, it's not about that. It's just about the love. This is a God of love. I don't need proof of a God. I just need something out there that's love, And so the players kind of preach that part of it. And I was like, oh yeah, people don't need, my apologetics, my explanation, my creation science stuff for them to want something. They need to know that there's a goodness and a love that is beyond slavery and oppression and conquest and selfishness and randomness. And they would want to join a Christian church. And that's what a lot of Christian churches did in the Dark Ages and church history, is they just taught love. And that's all people needed. They just needed something like that. They didn't, it's almost like they didn't care if it was true or not. They just wanted a group that all wanted to love and be joyful. And I'm just saying it at the base level. I'm just explaining it at the base level. And that's an initial way of getting people into the pews is through that, initially. And then, then you learn more and get more in depth into it. But I can see how that would really bring in people at any time in life, because life is harsh, and the world is a tough place to be in. And I mean, to me, I wonder if the toughest thing is, well, the humdrum of daily life, the humdrum, and then that sudden calamity of tragedy or pain and sorrow or suffering that happens kind of by surprise, right? It takes you by surprise. That and the humdrum of boring daily toils is two dichotomies that really throw us off in our lives. Both of those, the boredom of humdrum leads to lots of sins, and then the sudden calamities that come that we are suddenly are thrown at us. Where do we go? What do we? Both of those things, I could see why a church needs to be, and a church needs to comfort those in both those type of situations. And So I don't have that in the game as far as just, you know, clearly stating that, but it's something that I just realized as they were creating that church, like, why would these people want to, you know, go to them anyway? I don't get it. And then just, oh, wait a minute. So the game, I think, really does, this game really does help you think about things like that, as opposed to all the regular role-playing games where you're playing it and you don't think about that. You just think about the gold and the treasure and the event, you know, being a hero, being a hero in a selfish way, glorifying oneself, which is a big part of role-playing games. You know, and it's not about this. The Christian ethos is to build a comforting, caring civilization around a church. And yeah, you know, just again, this game is helping me understand that concept more than, you know, I basically because that's my mindset as RPGs. That's the way I think, I guess, or learn or want to learn things or whatever, or, you know, really am paying attention. So I'm finding a lot of interesting things about the Four Lord of the RPG that really helped me to think about that kind of stuff and live my life that way. Like, look for things like that, do that already. You know, some people have already figured that out, and I'm like, oh, I need to start like paying attention to those types. Anyway, so that's, yeah, I just another babbling essay, or not even an essay, babble. All right, just wanted to talk about die rank results and then that little thing there. In the game of life, roll holy dice.